Could the Patriots still add another player to their wide receiver core? Well, they have been linked to a possible Chris Olave trade. We're going to break that down here on Patriots Today by Chat Sports. Before we hop into all the details, we are trying to break a record here on Patriots Today by Chat Sports. The highest number of subscribers we have gained in 1 month is 1,900. Right now, we're at 68 subs throughout the month of April, so go on ahead and hit that sub button for me. What's going on, everybody? I am your host, Ali Barefoot. Welcome into Patriots Today by Chat Sports. Going to break down the latest Chris Olave rumors, but on the back half of the show, I really want to update you guys on what's been going on with Polk and Javon Baker. I know that we got Stefon Diggs. We're probably going to lean still pretty heavily on Douglas, but could this be a good second year for those two players? Well, we'll break that down in just a moment. So here is why I'm bringing up Chris Olave trade rumors in the first place, is because there is a sports book out there that did list the New England Patriots as the team to have Chris Olave taking his first snaps in 2024, 2025, if not the New Orleans Saints. Obviously, he's a wide receiver right now in New Orleans. There hasn't been anything new in terms of the Saints being open to trading Chris Olave, but if they are, well, New England is in number one. Then you have the Jets, then you have the Steelers, and then you have the Baltimore Ravens. And I'll tell you what, a healthy Chris Olave, if this were to ever come true, if Mike Vrabel could swing this or Elliott Wolf can try and make the Saints front office happy, a healthy Chris Olave with a veteran Stefon Diggs, who also needs to be healthy, would be unreal for Drake Maye to have in his depth chart. Because just take a look at this. We still rely on Pop Douglas, but he moves a little bit more to the inside wide receiver as your quick slant slot. But then you have Chris Olave, who can still provide the same amount of reps that Douglas can, but he just does it better. I think that Olave can be your go route guy. He can be your 10-yard slant guy. And then, of course, Stefon Diggs can be your do-it-all guy as your wide receiver one. But that's the key here. Diggs and Olave would need to be healthy. We know that Chris Olave does have a history with concussion, so that is something that not just the Patriots, but the Saints have to watch out for too. He's obviously missed a lot of games in the last year with that concussion protocol, so not having him healthy, that would be a really huge bust. But the only problem is, to this whole video, is that there are no new rumors that the Saints are actually open to trading Chris Olave. So a lot of dominoes do have to fall if they are going to give up their top wide receiver and what it would take for the Patriots to be able to land him. And then when I did read this quote, it really made me understand that this is actually a very big fever dream. Kellen Moore said Chris Olave has had a huge impact to this team, and he's going to have a huge impact this season. He's a phenomenal player. I get the feeling that he's really excited about the opportunity. So it sounds like Kellen Moore is leaning pretty heavily on having Chris Olave in their wide receiver core this year. So I don't see a trade happening this year. But some sportsbooks odds out there do think that if there is a trade, then the Patriots would be the top team to land it. But like I said, it would take a lot on the Patriots side, probably a lot of draft picks. You'd have to figure out what else they would want for a guy like Chris Olave. Not 110% ruling it out, but I'm saying it's probably about a 99% chance it's going to be a no at this point. But would you guys want to make a trade for Chris Olave if the New Orleans Saints ended up saying they're open to possibly taking some inquiries about it? Type T for trade, type K for keep. Let me know in the comment section down below. Obviously, I'm going to go T for trade on this one. I think that those three could be dominant. Pair it on with a tight end like Hunter Henry, and we got ourselves a lot of resources for Drake Maye. But the Patriots do still need to tweak their wide receiver room just a little bit. Let's say Stefon Diggs isn't as healthy as we want him to be at the start of the season. Then you're back to square one. You're going back to relying on Douglas and Matt Collins. So I wouldn't be opposed if they made any other moves. But you also have to realize the Patriots have 9 receivers on their roster right now. And we really haven't paid a lot of attention to Polk and Javon Baker because they sucked so bad last year. And it could have been the system that was in play with Drake Maye. It could have just been rookie jitters, and maybe they just didn't have a good year, but flat out, it was awful for both Polk and Baker, who the Patriots last year were really relying heavy on to be a good option for Drake Maye. As you guys can see, none of these numbers pop out to you. The only difference that I see here is that Drake Maye obviously had a lot more confidence in Jalen Polk, which he should. Polk was drafted higher than Baker, but still, 12 receptions on 33 targets. That's horrendous. Polk dropped more than half of his passes when Drake Maye tried to get him the ball. So it's safe to say that they can only go up from here. It was a terrible year last year for Baker and for Polk. But the good news is that the Patriots have gone so much further since last year in getting a new head coach, getting a new wide receiver, bulking up the offensive line so it can only get better. And they're getting a complete fresh start with this new system. New offensive coordinator, new head coach, and I've really liked what Mike Vrabel has said about his approach to addressing what happened with Polk and Baker last year and how he wants to move forward with these two second-year players, because this season is going to be critical. He said, I'm trying to focus on what's going to go right. And so I know that Jalen is working hard. He's excited about being a new dad. He's working hard in rehab, that shoulder, focusing on and again, he said this to me, not me, but this is something I'll always say, is he is focused on what he can do as opposed to what he can't do. So he's been lifting hard. He's lifting his lower body hard. He wants to get stronger, and where he can make gains right now about strength in his lower body because he's rehabbing his shoulder. So that sounds really exciting to me. So that's new news to me, is that Jalen Polk is now kind of struggling with this shoulder injury. We knew he got a little bit roughed up towards the end of last season, but he's had a lot happen in the last year. He became a new dad. He's been rehabbing his shoulder. And I do think that the only thing that makes me a little bit concerned about Polk in the offseason is that, remember last training camp, we thought Jalen Polk was going to be an absolute stud, like Marvin Harrison Jr., just because of the footage we saw from training camp. Laying out OBJ style, connecting with Drake Maye, showing flashes of speed. So I'm nervous he's going to do that again in training camp and OTAs and get our hopes up again. But then I don't think we're really going to understand what Jalen Polk is able to do in this offense until the season starts, which is a huge gamble. But then you also have Javon Baker, who we saw a little glimpse of him in training camp, but not as large as Jalen Polk was supposed to be. Javon Baker was very flashy, don't get me wrong. But then, he went live on Instagram and had a couple of opinions about being pulled over. And Drake Maye made him a healthy scratch in week 1. But it seemed like he never regained trust with Baker. So I'm going to give you guys the update from Mike Vrabel in just a second. But I do want to make sure that you guys know NFL Draft is right around the corner. You guys can go on ahead and get your very own Patriots NFL Draft hat. You guys can use my link, chatsports.com/Patriots Draft hats. There are numerous different options for you guys to choose from, whichever fits your style best. And when you use that link, chatsports.com/Patriots Draft hats, it's going to take you guys to the full page with everything that has something to do with the 2025 NFL Draft New England Patriots style. So go on ahead, get your deal, grab your hat, grab your t-shirt, and get ready for the Patriots' 4th overall pick. I will put this link in the comment section under this video. Click it. It'll take you right there. So with Javon Baker actually having a worse season than Jalen Polk did last year, the number one thing that you need to have Baker do, and with Polk, is regain their confidence. Mike Vrabel addressed this earlier last week, and he said, look, if there's things that we can try and eliminate from last year, we've had those conversations. And whatever their frustrations were, or whatever things that they did or didn't happen, we're moving on with what we see in them and the excitement that they have. And so, the more excited that they are about learning, we'll be just as excited about teaching them. And that sounds like Mike Vrabel, Josh McDaniels. They're not looking at the rookie season that Polk and Baker had. It's done. It's over with. You can't go back and catch those passes that you dropped. So Vrabel's making sure that they have a clean slate. We're gaining confidence, and we're pushing them the way that they need to be, because Polk and Baker have a phenomenal opportunity that not a lot of rookies get. When you stink your first year and you try to go and have a revamped second year, well, most players have to do that with the exact same personnel, not the Patriots. They have the opportunity to re-showcase their hunger, their skills, their speed, their pass-catching abilities, and just basically start from ground zero. But it's not going to be easy. That sounds super easy, right? Because they have to now compete against Matt Collins, a new wide receiver, Kayshon Boutte, Kendrick Bourne, who Bourne actually does have some experience with Josh McDaniels, and then you also have to compete with the other wide receivers. It's going to be tough to try and stand out, because when you look at all of the pass catchers that Drake Maye will have heading into the voluntary offseason workouts on April 7th, I mean, you've got to compete against Bourne, Boutte, who had a much better season than Polk and Baker did. But then you still have Jaquay Jackson, John Giles. These are going to be guys that are lower on the depth chart, but still trying to prove something. So 9 receivers, and Polk and Baker are supposed to stand out. I'm very excited for the new opportunity for both of them. I'm going to take the same mindset that Mike Vrabel did and just move on from last year. I hope that this year is not going to be a bust for them either. I think that they have everything, all the utensils that they need in their pocket to have a breakout season, and I just hope they have the confidence to be able to go out there and get it done. So I have a question. Which receiver do you think is going to have a breakout season in 2025? Jalen Polk, type JP. Javon Baker, type JB. And if you just want both of the kids to do better in year 2, type both for me in the comment section down below. If anything does happen with the New England Patriots, if they trade for somebody, sign somebody else, doesn't matter. We'll make a video about it right here on Patriots Today by Chat Sports. So go on ahead and hit that sub button for me.